Hello and welcome to my channel In Search of Wonder. My name is Anne and today I'm going to tell you all about my own personal 10 at a time challenge. So, in my Reading the Classics challenge for this year, there is an additional layer each month of something that is related to the bookish life, but isn't necessarily a reading challenge. And the challenge for November was to come up with a list of 10 books that you want to read in 2026. Now, if you followed my channel any length of time and you know me, you know that my inner heart rebels at this sort of thing because I don't like to be told what to do and I don't like to be told what to read, even if I'm the one telling myself. So the minute something becomes a must is the minute it turns into I don't want to. So I know that I cannot make myself a list of 10 books and then actually think that I will read them next year. You know how I know that? Because I've done that before. I've definitely done that before. So this year, I figured out a way to work around my own rebelliousness. And also, I really feel like I've hit on a genius method for tackling any number of goals that I have. First of all, one goal, to read more books on my actual shelf, physical books. Like, don't we all have that goal, right? I gotta get these books read. I need to know if I want to keep them or not. So can make room for more books, possibly. But also these books I want to read. The other thing is, last year or the year before even, I had made some lists in my reading journal of certain authors I wanted to try, authors I wanted to read to zero, both classic and contemporary authors. And I had a variety of other lists and goals of books that I wanted to read, or etc. And not the least of which is my 50 by 50, which is the primary one that I am working through. So I have all of these lists of things that are goals for me of books that I actually want to read. On top of which, there are just books that may not have made it into any of my lists, but they are definitely of interest to me, and they are books that I do want to read. I just haven't gotten to them yet, and I want to. So I combined all of those goals into my little project for next year that I'm calling 10 at a time. Here's what I did. I pulled 20 to 25 titles from my reading journal out of those lists that I had created of goals, bookish goals, books that I wanted to read eventually. And I specifically pulled books that I actually have physically on hand. I have actual copies of these books. So I pulled all of those titles, and that ended up being about 20 to 25 different titles of books that I physically have on hand that are specific goals of mine that I do want to read for one reason or another, whatever the reason is. And then I also, when I have a TBR for the month, which by the way, the monthly TBR is actually helpful for me. I don't rebel against that, and I don't know why. I don't know what the psychology is there, but I think even though I don't like to be told what to read, the other problem is I have so many things that I want to read. I know you can relate, right? I have so many things I want to read that I can get in this decision paralysis where I can't make up my mind what I want to read. So I feel like my TBR is sort of like a funnel that takes all of my wide variety of choices and narrows them down for me into a smaller list that is much easier to manage and a lot easier to decide what I want to read in it. So I think also like the TBR isn't binding per se. I usually have 3 to 4 books in a month that are like commitments for me, but I can handle that. Like, it's short term, it's a choice that's made more in the moment. It's not like from a year ago, I was like, I need to read this book. And so then I feel like I have to read it, but I don't feel like reading it anymore. So the TBR works for me. So anyway, every time I do a TBR, not every time, like periodically, I will print out, you guys have done very much the same thing, like little copies of the book covers. So then I can put those book covers in my reading journal as I read the books. So I can have a visual of the book that I read. So I've been doing that for a while, but a lot of times there are books that make it onto my TBR that I end up not reading. They just get bumped from the priority. I read something else instead. I always have more books in my TBR that I'm actually going to read, so it makes sense that there are plenty of those that I won't actually get to. And the thing is, sometimes those those appear more than once on my TBR. They keep showing up like a bad penny, and I keep not reading them. So I had a whole collection of those book covers, and I went through and I eliminated any extras that were already in my 20 to 25 that I had collected as goals that I wanted to read of books on hand. So then I took all of those books that I actually have, most of them were books that I have from my TBR, my physical TBR, and then I added them to that list. And again, it was about 25 books. So I have about 50 books that either meet personal goals of mine, personal reading goals, or they are just of great interest to me and I really want to read them. I just haven't yet, and I need a little kick in the pants to make me do it. Plus, all of these books are books that I own physically, so I can read them at any time. I don't have to find them. I don't have to check them out of the library. I actually have them. So all of those 50 books are going to go in a pot, so to speak, actually an envelope. And I am going to start with 10 of them. I'm going to, right now here on this video, randomly choose 10 of those books and put them in my little envelope that I'm going to keep in my reading journal. And then as I read them, I will glue the picture onto the page to show that I've read them. Let me show you the reading page, the reading journal page, so that you can understand what I'm talking about. I apologize if you hear strange noises. It's my pressure cooker cooking while I am filming this. Okay, so here is my page in my journal, and I'm starting with this one. If all goes well, I will have 5 of these pages in this reading journal through the course of next year if I am steadily reading through these. But if I don't, that's okay. If I just finish this one page of 10, that's fine. So I have this page of 10 that I'm going to start with. So I'm going to choose 10 books now, and that will be my starting list for 2026 of 10 books that I would like to read. And when it comes to January and time to make my January TBR, I'm going to look at those 10 books and I'm going to see which ones fit various prompts for January. Now in January, I have an announcement coming out about Epistolary January, so keep your eyes peeled for that. So if I have anything epistolary, I hope it gets picked for January. And other than that, I don't know what events are going on. Of course, I have my own Read the Classics challenge. I haven't picked yet what other readathons I'll be doing. Presumably, I will be doing Chantel's if she does another one this coming year. So anyway, I will hopefully find books or choose books, randomly choose books from the pile that can fit into those for January. But if they do, great. If not, also great. But I would like to read at least one of those 10 books in January. So then if I read that book in January, I will glue the little book cover here, and then that's one is done. So then I will choose from my larger lot of 50 books, I will choose another one to replace the one that I read. But if I read, let's say 5 of them, that would be awesome, in January, then I will replace 5 of them with other titles, and then February repeat the process. And so go on throughout the year, building my monthly TBR, choosing whatever I can from my selection of 50 books. If it works, it does. If it doesn't work, it doesn't. And no big deal. I would like to have at least one each month that comes from that. So by the end of the year, I will definitely have read 10 or more books from that stack, ideally, but it's not going to be binding, okay? So what books will I be choosing from? What are my 50 books? And of course, this could take all day. So I'm going to try and just go really quick and show you the books that I chose, the covers that I printed out, and say briefly how they ended up on my list, why I'm interested in them, or what goals they meet. And then we're going to choose the first set of 10. And as I look at them, I'm going to put them in my little jar here. So, first of all, we have One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich. Lauren and I have talked about buddy reading this, but we didn't make a definite date. But hopefully at some point next year we'll buddy read this one. So I'm gonna put that in there. And then I have Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. I don't know about this one. I have it on my shelf. I want to read it before I get rid of it, but I read her book, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and I started it. And I DNF'd about 30% of the way through. I didn't hate it. I just didn't want to read anymore. Like, it wasn't interesting enough to me. It was moving really slowly. And I've heard Piranesi can be odd, so I don't know. This is a Christian nonfiction, and I really need to work through my Christian nonfiction. This is Hoodwinked by Karen Ehman. And Karen Ehman, she just has a really fun, down-to-earth approach to her writing, very practical and very much speaking directly to women and particular things that women struggle with. So I enjoy her writing overall. And then I have The Phantom of the Opera, which is one of the books that I put on my list to reread in 2025, and I didn't get to it. So maybe I'll get to it next year. And then I have Oh Pioneers by Willa, Cather, which is on my 50 by 50. And maybe I will read that in August for the Prairie Trail Readathon. Then I have The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. And this one is also a reread. It was from my reread actually last year, and I didn't get to it last year, didn't get to it this year. Next year will be the year. Then we have, well, that's upside down, Rules of Civility by Amor Towles. I read his Gentleman in Moscow, which I really enjoyed the writing of that story, but I don't know, I also have a copy of Rules of Civility. I know it was a very popular book. I just haven't brought myself to read it yet. Lynn Austen was on a list of Christian authors that I wanted to try. The funny thing was, when I made that list, I forgot that I had actually already read a book by her and really liked it. So I technically have already tried Lynn Austen and I have liked her books, but I want to read one more at least. And I have this book, All My Secrets, on my shelf. So a lot of people talk about her as a really great author, so I want to read another one by her and see if that is true for me. And then I have Mrs. Lincoln's Dressmaker by Jennifer Chiaverini. And this one has it's been on my shelf for years, literally years. It's just time for me to read it. And I think what's held me back from it is that I know that even though I like Jennifer Chiaverini's writing and her biographical novels that she writes, which this is one of those, she's very detailed, she's very thorough. It is a little slow paced, and I did get a little bogged down in the details, but I have enjoyed what I've read by her. Then this is Charlotte. Julia something or other is the author, too small print for me to see, but this is a retelling of Sanditon, I want to say, by Jane Austen, which is a book she did not finish, so it's like a retelling and a finishing of it. And it's been on my shelf for a long time. I just need to read it. When Strivings Cease by Ruth Chou Simmons. This has been, oh my goodness, on my TBR multiple times. I just haven't read it. I just need to read it. Indigo Isle by T.I. Lowe. This book has been recommended to me as being a very good book. I have it on my shelf. I just haven't read it. No One Ever Asked by Katie Ganshert. This I've had on my shelf for so long, so many years, probably even longer than Mrs. Lincoln's Dressmaker. I don't know why I haven't read it. I just need to read it. And then These Old Shades by Georgette Hare. This is another one. I just have it on my shelf. And I like Georgette Hare. I just haven't gotten to that one yet. Only a Novel, The Double Life of Jane Austen by Jane Aiken Hodge. And this is a biography of Jane Austen, one of two that I have actually in my possession. And I want to read one of them. I'm in search of my favorite Jane Austen biography. I haven't found it yet. Austenland by Shannon, Hale. This is one I feel like once I read it, I'm probably not going to keep it, so then it will make room on my shelf for more Austen-related books. So I need to read it. And then 6 Great Ideas by Mortimer Adler, which I picked up somewhere, used, and I really want to read it. I just haven't yet. Emily of New Moon. So I want to reread everything by Lucy Maud Montgomery. This year, I finally wrapped up rereading the Anne series. So now I need to read or reread the Emily series. I honestly don't remember if I read them or not. I think I did, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But I want to read them. So I can say that I have read her books to zero. And then this is one that was a reread on my reread list last year. Didn't get to it, so I still need to get to it. It's Mixed Signals by Liz Curtis Higgs. I read this as a young adult, loved it, thought it was hilarious. I don't know if I would still like it, so I want to find out. This is on my 50 by 50, The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, and I just really want to read it. It was a bestseller. A lot of people love it, gets rave reviews, but I haven't read it yet. And then How to Read a Book. I started that many years, also by Mortimer Adler. I never finished it. I finally have my own personal copy of it. The time that I had read it before, I had borrowed from a school library, and I don't have access to that library anymore, but I finally got my own copy, so now I just need to read it. And then this is The Old Curiosity Shop by Dickens. I want to read Dickens to zero, and this book is on my 50 by 50. So I want to read it. The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova, and Molly and I have talked about buddy reading this one, so maybe next year we can get to that and actually buddy read it. I'm a little bit put off by the length of it, but I am very much intrigued by the actual story, and I want to read it. That might be a good one for January if it makes it to my list. Listening Valley by, oh goodness, what is her name? D. something Stevenson. I've been wanting to try this author for several years now since I heard of her, D.E. Stevenson. And I have that book in my possession. I just haven't read it yet. Out of the Easy by Ruta Sepetys. This is an author I want to read to zero, and I've read several of her books, have loved every single one of them. Out of the Easy, I may not, or I may, I don't know. I've heard mixed reviews about this one. If any of them get mixed reviews, it's this one, but I do still want to read it and see what I think about it. Plus, I just want to read her to zero. And then this is an Anthony Trollope, Can You Forgive Her? I have been wanting to try Anthony Trollope. He's on my list of classic authors to try. I haven't read him yet. I don't know why. I know once I do, I'm probably going to love his books. And I have Can You Forgive Her, which is the first one in the Palliser series, on my shelf in a vintage copy that looks very much like that. So I want to get to it. And then Gilead by Marilyn Robinson. Penny and I have talked about buddy reading this next year as well. So I would love to finally read Gilead. I'm a little bit put off by the fact that it's definitely more of an introspective book, not as much of a plot, I don't think. And so that puts me off a little bit as well. I know I will enjoy it. I know that immersing myself in the beautiful writing and in the thoughts behind the book and the themes of it and everything, I know I will really enjoy it in the end, but it's just the actual sitting down to read it and slowing my pace to read it. I haven't done that yet, and it takes a little bit of mental preparation for me. So anyways, I'm looking forward to reading that. And then A Woman of No Importance by Sonia Purnell, about a World War II spy. I am very interested in reading this. I have a copy on my shelf, but I haven't. And then Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I may actually get to this one in December, so this may end up being read before next year, but we'll see. And then A Hope Undaunted by Julie Lessman. Julie Lessman, I have really loved some of her books, and I really not loved some of her books. These are definitely like filler books for me, historic romance novels that are pretty clean, and she's a Christian author, so I like them, but some of them I haven't loved as much, and so I don't know how I'll feel about this one, so I haven't read it yet. And then this one is Moods by Louisa May Alcott. I want to read everything that Louisa May Alcott wrote, and this is one of her novels. Didn't do as well as some of her other work, especially her children's novels, but I'm curious about it. And then A Broken Kind of Beautiful by Katie Ganshert. I love Katie Ganshert's writing. I just don't love contemporary stories. So it always takes me longer to get to those than others. And then Tales of Glasstown, Angria and Gondal by the Brontes. This is the Juvenilia by the Brontes. Brontes, as a family, I want to read to zero. I have read all of the novels. I've read some of the poetry and other things, but I want to read everything. So I have a whole list of Bronte stuff that I want to read, and this is on there. So I want to read that one. And then Hang a Thousand Trees with Ribbons, which is about the poet Phyllis Whitney and Wheatley. I think Wheatley. She was an African, actually she was a slave in the colonial era, but she wrote poetry and she was published. So in the 1700s, I want to say. And so I want to read this. This is a biography about her, a fictional biography by Anne Rinaldi. And I picked this up a year or two ago in a thrift store after we saw her gravesite in Boston, but I haven't read it yet, so. And then Hillbilly Elegy by J.D. Vance. I have a copy of that. I've been wanting to read it for a couple years since my sister recommended it to me before he was ever vice president or even running for it. So I want to read that one, but I haven't yet. The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. I've been wanting to read this like for a long time, and I have a copy. I've had it for years. I just need to read it. Live Your Truth by Elisa Childers. One of my sisters gave this to me for Christmas, I think, last year, and I haven't read it yet. I need to read it. And Laura, a biography about Laura Ingalls Wilder by Donald Zuckert, I believe. I bought this in South Dakota last year. Yeah, South Dakota, when I was visiting De Smet, South Dakota, where Laura Ingalls Wilder and her family lived, and I would like to read that biography. A Study in Scarlet by Arthur Conan Doyle, which is, of course, a Sherlock Holmes story. I have read one Sherlock Holmes story, The Hound of the Baskervilles, and I want to read more, so that's the next one on my list that I want to read. And then The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. Kate Quinn was on the list of authors that I want to try because she's a popular historical fiction novelist, and I love historical fiction, so I want to try her. I've been warned that I may not like the content, so, you know, as Chrissy says, if it fall, it fall. That's fine. If I start it and I'm like, yeah, no, this is not for me, then no harm, no foul. I tried it, and that works. William Kent Kruger. This made it onto one of those lists of books that I need to read this year. A couple years ago, yeah, I didn't read it because I told myself I needed to, so then I didn't. And then The Lady's Mind by Francine Rivers. I've been wanting to read it since it came out. I got a copy of it last Christmas as a gift. Haven't read it yet. The Body Keeps the Score. I've told you before, I don't know if you remember, I started this. It traumatized me, ironically, and I've not been able to pick it back up again, but I want to because I think it's important. And I want to understand what he is saying there in that book. And then Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. I've been wanting to read this one ever since I heard about it. I'm very intrigued. Haven't read it yet, but I do have my own copy that I picked up somewhere used. Lovely copy. So I'm excited to read that. Lords and Ladies by Elizabeth Mansfield. Now, since I have bought this one, I've read other books by her and did not like them at all. So I don't know. I've heard good things about this one. It's like, you know, it's a filler book. It's, you know, formulaic historical romantic fiction. It's clean. But I don't know. I haven't loved her other ones. And it's Regency era, which I love, but we'll see. If it fall, it fall. But I need at least to pick it up, crack it open, and try it. Color the Sidewalk for Me by Brandy Lynn Collins. This also was on my reread list for last year, and I started the series. This is book 2 in the series. I was disappointed because the first book was not as good as I remembered it being when I read it 15, 20 years ago or more. So I want to try the rest of the series and just see. This book in particular, I remember really, really loving. So I don't know. I don't know if I still will love it or not. So I want to read it and find out. And then In the Thick of It by Jason Cruz. I picked this up somewhere, and it's about parenting in a culture of confusion. And so I need to read this before my kids are grown and out of the house. I have a couple other parenting books that I also need to read. And then After Alice, I got at a book swap. It was cool. It was completely a cover pick because I loved the cover, by Gregory Maguire. I'm not so sure if I will like it or not. I've heard mixed things about Gregory Maguire. Some things tell me that I probably might not like his books, but we'll see. After Alice is about Alice in Wonderland, her life after that. So I think that's intriguing. So I'm interested, but we'll see. Again, if it fall, it fall. It's fine. Okay, I dropped 2 on the floor. Hamlet, and I have the No Fear edition, which I don't like as much as the Folger Shakespeare library editions, but Hamlet is on my 50 by 50, along with some other Shakespeare, so I do want to read it. And then I have The Secret Keeper by Kate Morton. Kate Morton is an author that I have really enjoyed, and I want to read her books to zero, and I have that one on my shelf so I can read it. So, all right, didn't drop any more. Okay, so those are the books that I'm choosing from. Gonna shake this up real good. And I'm going to decide which are the first 10 that will go into my envelope in my journal that I will be choosing from starting in January. So without looking, number 1 is These Old Shades by Georgette Hare. Love Georgette Hare, so that's a good choice. Number 2, A Woman of No Importance. Also a good choice because I really do want to read that one and I just haven't yet. It takes a little more to motivate me to read nonfiction. Okay, No One Ever Asked by Katie Ganshert. I'm glad this is going on the list because I need some motivation to read that one for some reason. I don't even know why. I think because I know it's like a heavier book, a heavier story. All right, Secret Keeper by Kate Morton. So far, nothing too dramatic here or time-consuming or anything, so that's good. Oh, Gilead. So that one is going to be tackled earlier on in the year, hopefully. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, halfway through. 6, Emily of New Moon. Oh, I'm so excited because the sooner I can read my next Lucy Montgomery book, the sooner I can get her to 0, which is going to take me a while. All right, let's see. Number 7, Tale of Two Cities. Ooh, this is good because if I read it in December, then that one's already done. And number 8, In the Thick of It. Good. Before my kids are grown. Number 9, The Phantom of the Opera. That will be fun. And that will make progress on my reread goals. And finally, number 10, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. So, let me stack those books up so we can have a nice visual of what I will be reading, hopefully, next year. Here is my stack. I actually couldn't find These Old Shades by Georgette Hare, so I need to look again. But if I don't have that one, I have several others by her that I would just switch out with that. So, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, A Woman of No Importance, Phantom of the Opera, The Secret Keeper, A Tale of Two Cities, In the Thick of It, No One Ever Asked, Gilead, and Emily of New Moon. Will I get to all of these next year? Stick around and find out. I'll see you next time.